Some of the questions that you've asked are basically some of the issues that have engaged the various policy working groups that His Excellency, former President, has put together. With respect to revenue and expenditure and whether or not we would be able to get to sustainable levels, what is even worrying is that when the MPP borrows, they don't even want us to know how much they borrowed. You will recall that at the end of 2013, at the end of 2019, they reported that our public debt stood at 203 billion Ghana cedis. Those of you who still remember. The recent document that they gave to the IMF puts Ghana's nominal GDP, in other words, the total income of Ghana, in nominal values or in CD value at 347 billion Ghana cedis. Then they proceed to say that our debt to GDP is 61.1%. What it means is that if you take that 347 billion and you calculate 61.1% of it, you should get our public debt. Is that not the case? Good. When you do that calculation, you get 212 billion. Are you getting what I'm saying? So right away, you see 9 billion was not reported to us. So you are unable to even ask, what did you use the 9 billion for? Look, it is very difficult to deal with these guys. Over the last 3.5 years, pick all the annual budgets. When they are reporting for 2018, so 2018 November, they are coming to present a budget for 2019. Okay, they come in November. So they report up to September, which is acceptable because you don't have the picture to December. But even in normal practice, what we do is that by the time you are coming in November, you are fairly clear how the year will end. So you do what we call the projected outturn, which may be deviated by just a small figure. So this will stop in September. Then the Public Financial Management Act says that by the end of February of the following year, so by the end of February 2019, you should come and report the full financial year performance for the previous year. So by February, you are supposed to now come, because you came in November, the year was not ended, you couldn't tell us the true picture. 2 months after that financial year, come and tell us how the budget performed. Are you getting me? The minister has never stepped foot to account in that period. So by May, he is coming to do the mid-year review. By that time, he is already late by 3 months. So at that time, there's no excuse that you should not have the full year numbers. Is that not it? He will still come and give you the September data. So even as at 2020, when he was presenting the 2020 budget, he was still giving us a comparative of September 2018 to September 2019. So we are unable to know how 2017 ended, even 2 years after. A year after, we don't even know how 2018 ended. And in fact, the president even comes to deliver the State of the Nation, and he's still quoting interim figures from 2017-2018. But you see, you can't go and give IMF interim figures. I said COVID-19 has also done well. Because where were we going to get these end year figures? As we speak, 2018 numbers are being audited by the Auditor General. But I can assure you, when they come for mid-year of 2020, they'll be giving us interim figures for a year which is being audited. So you see the challenge. For these people, you will never see the true picture. So we are very fortunate that now we can have some numbers for 2018 and 2019 and projections for 2020. Thanks to COVID-19. Now, what is worse is that in our revenue management, one of the men that we saw as one of the moral pillars of our country, fortunately, was made to go and head the Ghana Revenue Authority as the commissioner, as the chairman, Professor Adai. Those of you who listened to my delivery at Kama, I indicated that I was disappointed that he actually went to church to give thanks to God for meeting a non-existing target. Professor Adai went to church with the entire Ghana Revenue Authority to give thanks to God. In the first place, he issued a statement that they had met their revenue target, which was a lie. He proceeded to even cover our eyes more by now giving thanks to God for meeting a target he didn't meet. And I said I was very, very disappointed. I showed the numbers to show that the man didn't go near meeting his target. He was missing his target by almost 4 billion Ghana cedis. And for such a man to have the guts and the courage to go and thank God, how can you go to God and ask God to assist you in lying to the people? But he did. You know what finally exposed him? The GRA workers now said they were supposed to collect their bonus for meeting the target. You see, God, you don't go to God's house to do those things, though. Then your man now writes to them to say that you know you didn't meet the target. Then the workers write back to say, so do you want us to tell the whole world we didn't meet the target that you lied? Which country would you find such a person still sitting in an office? And that's why I was telling Dr. Mahmood Bawomia yesterday. Those his eloquent lies is hurting the credibility of the political class in Ghana. But to find an academic at the level of a retired professor emeritus, then deepen that credibility crisis, is unpardonable. But you see where we are. There has to be a change for there to be a paradigm shift. We have had enough of this. What is wrong with saying that we didn't meet our tax? So we assist you to find ways to meet it next time. So you see, very little things. But like I said, we are quite clear that we need very innovative programs. And like I said, some of the fiscal policy options that are available to us, I will take the wind out of the sail of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. So you will find some workable, not the Huhudios will give this and then in the end he runs away. Now you recall that when he made the promise of 1 million per constituency, he said they are not going to look for the money. The money is already there. And that they only need to reorganize the budget and that they were not going to borrow. Didn't I say that they are borrowing 1 billion on not just any money, capital market, very expensive money? They are borrowing 1 billion to come and fund what he said the money is here. Does this man have credibility? And the video is all over. You hear him say that the money is already there. We are not going to borrow. We just have to reorganize. It's just that the NDC, they are spending the money, is not getting to the ground. Now we are on the capital market borrowing to come and fund what the money is already there. Unbelievable things. And that is, well, you see, when you have somebody who was a chief liar in a campaign and you trust him, he will mislead everybody in the government. And he is not seeing this data. The other day he was saying the data shows without quoting one single data. You heard him? The data shows. The data shows. But are you the only one who can see the data? Ghost data. And he says that infrastructure, they are the best in the fourth republic of any government in its first term. Ghost projects. We don't see them. In fact, your own capital budget is showing that after 3 years, you have not even matched 2016 numbers. And we all know that over years, because of inflation, The same amount of money cannot deliver the same amount of projects in the previous year because of value for money. So over a period of 3 years, if you adjust for indexing of prices, you should be doing the 2016 figures plus maybe 20-25%. You are not even at that level. So it means that in real terms, we are even worse off in terms of your capital budget. And you move from 4.5% of capital budget to GDP to 1.8%. And you say you are the best in Ghana. Since when? So you see, it's the big English. The Ghanaians are tired of the big English. We don't eat big English. The issue about pension funds, I think already Ghana, we've done a lot of reforms in that area. One thing that we have done, essentially, is that so many years ago, I recall 3 prominent citizens of our country who were very high profile and had contributed a lot to the scheme went on pension at the same time. And our pension scheme almost collapsed. The lump sums. Imagine people who are earning almost $10 million a month, a year, sometimes even more, for so many years. The Ishmael Yangsons of this world, and they go on retirement. The Sam Jonas of this world, and they go on retirement. And you find about 4 or 5 of these people go on retirement at the same time. And then they say your best year's salary times 3 years, you are dead. Huh? So we took a decision that we needed to find a way to create sustainable paradigm shift, so that when people like that go on retirement, the SNE scheme provides just the basic pension. And so we created SNE scheme as tier 1. We now have tier 2 and tier 3. And these are contributory schemes that are meant to provide the lump sum payments, while SNE deals with the basic pensions. So we've already done quite a lot of reforms in the area of pensions. The only thing that has not happened is because the culture of contributive pensions has not been part of our life for a long time. Not many companies used to have provident funds, and now that our financial situation got better, we had these challenges with the financial sector. Most of those were also directly affected because they have investment. Only recently you heard Bank of Ghana say don't pay dividends. So if they put their money as shareholders of banks and had shares there, they are not going to get that return that they need to reinvest in readiness for you. So there are some challenges, but obviously it's a lot better than previously. And we just want to encourage a lot of Ghanaians to cultivate the habit of preparing for their pension and making sure that their employers, do the needful. So there's a lot of reforms in the pensions area. And I think that at this point, we haven't traveled long enough to say that we need to review it. Unless otherwise some obvious challenges come up from those that are managing that scheme, which is regulated by the National Pension Regulatory Authority. We didn't have that. But once we did the reform, we needed to have a supervisory body that will regulate the pension sector. So we've done a lot of that. Fiscal Responsibility Act. It was the baby of Dr. Mahmood Bawomia. You know, we already have a Fiscal Responsibility Act. If you read the Public Financial Management Act that NDC passed in 2016 from A to Z, that is one of the best fiscal responsibility laws you find. But Bawomia, instead of just coming to amend 1 or 2 sections in order to incorporate some minor change that he wanted, for political expediency, he had to create a whole act that is not even thicker than my finger and called it the Fiscal Responsibility Act. The thrust of the Fiscal Responsibility Act is that we shouldn't do a budget deficit of more than 5%. And in worst case scenario, 5% plus 1, that's about 6%. So technically from what we have seen, and it is the reason they were giving us interim numbers, because the man was way above the threshold. So 2018, 2019, 7% and 7.5%. You see, the act didn't say 6% on a cash basis. It is 6% of a deficit, and a deficit is defined technically and properly as overall deficit because you will pay. Whether you treat it above the line, in the middle of the line, or whatever line they call it, you will pay. So once you exceed 7%, the law requires for censorship of the minister. And we have just found this information that he exceeded the limit 2018-2019. What he came to do technically in Parliament recently was to suspend the rules, because the law also provides that in a situation of emergency such as we find ourselves, you can suspend the fiscal rules in order to deal with the challenges. So he can suspend 2020, but he can't suspend 2019, 2018. And that is why he now boldly can say that we are doing 9.5%, because the technical implication of what he has done is to suspend the fiscal rules. And when His Excellency says that the economy is an intensive care unit and you say no, who suspend fiscal rules for an economy that is healthy? You suspend fiscal rules for an economy that is challenged. An economy that is growing at 1.5%, you say is not. In fact, there has to be a better word than intensive care unit. For an economy that was supposed to grow at 6.8, now growing at 1.5. That is scary. And once the country applied to the IMF to access the rapid credit facility arrangement, we have technically pronounced ourselves as an economy in intensive care unit. Because that money is given to economies in distress. And the economy in distress is so in distress that if the money does not come in, and that we can't even decide that we don't trust you, let's give you small and see how you spend it. No, bring all now, because our situation is so dire. In fact, our stock of resources cannot even last us 3 months, so the money must come now. That is the proper definition of an economy that qualifies for rapid credit facility arrangement. As a matter of fact, it's a social safety net for poor and distressed countries. And we are one. We have declared ourselves as such. The man repeats it, and the man who went and made that application with all the indicators to confirm that you are really in distress is not saying that, why do you say it is in distress? And you say it's untruth. You are unable to say what exactly he said that was untruth. So we have a big challenge with the fiscal responsibility, which has already been trashed. But like I'm saying, he has suspended the fiscal rules technically for the year 2020. And that is why we will do that figure. I think yesterday one other issue came up, and sometimes when we are on a program with people, you don't respond to everything. You need to pick and choose, because you have time to deal with. You need to pick and choose what you want to deal with. But I have in this conversation around the MPP that when we started dealing with this cooked data, that the only time in Ghana that Ghana was charged a fee or a fine for cooking data was in NDC's era. Today, I want to tell the people of Ghana to know the MPP for the dishonest and the unpatriotic attitude that they have. When they took power from us in 2001, they wrote to IMF telling IMF that the figures that we gave to IMF were wrong. It's not that IMF came and found anything here. But you see, they were so illiterate that they thought they were reporting NDC, but they didn't know they were reporting Ghana as a corporate entity. IMF doesn't know NDC and PPO. IMF knows Ghana. So say, okay, so the Ghana has falsified documents, eh? Then we will charge you. Now, when the charge was mentioned, they started withdrawing. You see, did you ask NDC whether the figures you were selling, they could defend them or not? You didn't. You decided to play this unpatriotic politics of, maligning NDC. In the end, whether the figures we sent were justified, we have an auditor general who ought to certify our numbers and come to the same conclusion, so you can now report. You submitted documents and you submitted figures that had not been certified by the Auditor General to embarrass Ghana. So we come to power and we decide that we will show these people and end up showing Ghana. So you see these people, where you see them, they don't love Ghana. And you can see the looting shows. You think when we came to power, we were comfortable with everything we found there? It is our responsibility in government to correct the wrongs. And there are legal regimes in Ghana for dealing with infractions on our financial system. And at that time, the Financial Administration Act was in existence. And there are rules and there are laws in Ghana. So if you believed that a finance minister had done something untoward, why were you not in court of Ghana? But you ended up thinking that there's a difference between NDC and MPP when it comes to Ghana. Ghana is Ghana. So anybody who goes around saying that NDC falsified document, tell that person the unpatriotic MPP people cooked their data in their offices and sent them to IMF thinking they were embarrassing Ghana and ended up embarrassing themselves. Thank you very much.